When I first booted up the Invincible, I didn't know what to expect. Just a sci-fi thriller set on a distant planet, right? But wow, this one really caught me off guard. The game's story is set in the 1960s, yet it explores advanced space travel and a deep philosophical mystery. Right off the bat, I found myself on a planetary adventure with stunning visuals. But what kept me hooked was the narrative. The story is so engrossing, it'll make you think twice about humanity's place in the universe. You're navigating the world of an astronaut trapped on an alien planet, where every decision carries weight. The way it blends hard science fiction with more existential questions had me second-guessing every move. What stood out to me was the voice acting and how it brought the characters to life, especially with the existential questions about life, death, and the meaning behind it all. It's not just about survival, it's about uncovering truths. If you're into narrative-driven games with a heavy dose of intrigue and mystery, The Invincible is definitely one you don't want to skip.
Dr. Crowther, didn't you hear me earlier? Doctor, is everything all right?
I've gotta say, Lords of the Fallen surprised me in the best way. At first glance, it looks like your typical action RPG, but once I got my hands on it, I quickly realized this is more than just another dark fantasy. The game threw me right into a world where light and darkness battle for supremacy, and the atmosphere alone pulls you in. The combat is fast and fluid, a bit Souls-like, but with enough unique twists to make it stand out. What really kept me going, though, was the dual realm mechanic. It's like the world has two sides, and you're constantly shifting between them, revealing hidden paths and enemies. The visual design is gorgeous, with intricate environments that feel both grand and haunting at the same time. But beyond the fighting, it's the story that gripped me. You play a character who's caught between life and death, trying to save a kingdom from an ancient evil. The world feels dense and alive, with plenty of lore to uncover. If you're into challenging combat, a rich story, and exploring deep, atmospheric worlds, Lords of the Fallen is one that should be on your radar.
Our current build is adept in Rogar, characterized by devastating pyromantic attacks.
When I played Exoprimal, I had no idea what to expect. I mean, giant dinosaurs, futuristic exosuits, and chaos. Sounds like a recipe for insane fun, right? And that's exactly what it is. You're thrown into a team-based action game where you're fighting off waves of prehistoric creatures with high-tech gear. And honestly, the adrenaline rush was real. The game's multiplayer mode was a blast, especially with friends. The combat is quick and satisfying, offering tons of variety in how you approach each mission. What caught me off guard was the way Exoprimal blends co-op and PvP elements. You're not just fighting to survive, you're racing against another team to complete objectives while battling hordes of dinos. It's intense and forces you to strategize on the fly. The game has some cool narrative twists that kept me invested. The story about AI and dinosaurs mixes things up and makes you question the technology you're using to fight. If you like high-octane combat and want something fresh with a bit of strategy, Exoprimal is a must-play.
Summoning Pteranodons. Nice work.
So, I finally got the chance to play Redfall, and I was pretty curious to see how it stacked up. A vampire-infested open world? Count me in. Right from the start, the setting pulls you in. It's a creepy yet beautifully designed town under siege by bloodthirsty creatures, and you're one of the survivors. What really hooked me wasn't just the concept, but how it combined shooting mechanics with a bit of strategy. Each character has unique powers, which made team play so much more fun. I found myself constantly switching up tactics to take down the vampires and their minions, whether by using stealth or just going in guns blazing. The variety in weapons and abilities keeps things exciting, and it's nice to have that flexibility depending on your playstyle. Sure, there were some bugs here and there, but the story was actually pretty engaging, with plenty of twists to keep you invested in figuring out what happened to this town. If you enjoy co-op play and don't mind a mix of horror and action, Redfall is definitely worth checking out.
I am not shooting a kid.
Go ahead, do it. Ah, you shot me, I'm dead.
All right there, are you happy now? Wow, I didn't think we'd be allowed to kill him. Normally, killing children in games isn't allowed, but he's dead. We killed this kid. Are you happy now? We killed the kid. The kid is dead now. There goes...
High on Life took me completely by surprise. I didn't know what I was getting into at first, but imagine this. You're an ordinary guy who gets swept up into an intergalactic adventure with talking guns in a universe full of bizarre, outlandish characters. Sounds insane, right? And it absolutely is. What really made High on Life stand out for me was its humor. The dialogue is ridiculous in the best sense. Every moment feels like something out of a stoner comedy, but with a twist of dark humor. The talking weapons? Genius. Each one has its own personality and adds a layer of comedy to every firefight. I found myself laughing out loud as I fought my way through weird aliens and strange worlds. The gameplay itself is solid, with fast-paced combat that feels satisfying and engaging. But it's really the offbeat humor and the creative, colorful world that kept me glued to the screen. If you're into quirky humor and don't mind a little weirdness in your shooter, High on Life will definitely be a blast. Next game is Cocoon. It is one of those games that took me by surprise in the best way. This game is a beautiful, mind-bending journey through strange, otherworldly realms, and it quickly became one of my favorites for its clever design and atmosphere. The gameplay revolves around manipulating orbs, each holding a different dimension, and the real genius lies in how you use these orbs to solve puzzles and explore new areas. It's not just about getting from point A to point B, it's about understanding how each world connects to the others and how every action you take shifts the environment around you. The puzzle mechanics are subtle yet challenging, making each moment of discovery incredibly rewarding. Visually, Cocoon is stunning. The vibrant, dreamlike landscapes are incredibly immersive, and the minimalist storytelling lets the world itself tell the story. It's peaceful, yet filled with tension, making for a truly unique experience. This game for the people who are into clever puzzles, beautiful art, and a game that makes you think deeply about your action. Next is Witchfire. The blend of dark fantasy, roguelike elements, and fast-paced gunplay hooked me instantly. From the very beginning, it's clear this game doesn't mess around. The world is brutal, filled with terrifying enemies, and the combat is a high-speed rush of gunfire and magic that feels both intense and satisfying. The thing that really stood out to me was the mix of weapons and spells. It's about combining your firearms with powerful magic to create insane combos. The enemies are tough, but they never feel unfair, which makes each victory feel earned. The levels are procedurally generated, so no two runs are ever exactly the same, keeping things fresh and challenging every time you play. Witchfire has a beautiful gothic aesthetic that complements its dark, atmospheric world. Every area I explored felt unique, from haunted forests to ancient ruins, and each one was packed with lore to uncover. If you love action-packed shooters with a twist of magic and a lot of replayability, Witchfire is a game you don't want to miss.
They come.
Next game is Immortals of Aveum. I was expecting a typical fantasy RPG, but what I got was an amazing experience that blends magic with high-flying combat in a way that kept me glued to the screen. You play as Jack, a talented magus in a war-torn world, and the story had me hooked right from the start. Ancient powers, brutal wars, and a magical system that felt fresh and dynamic. The combat is where Immortals of Aveum truly shine. Picture this. You're wielding 3 different types of magic, red, green, and blue, and the battles are a chaotic mix of fast-paced spells, intense ranged attacks, and some seriously slick parkour moves. It's about using the right combination of magic to take down different foes, which made every encounter feel like a strategic puzzle. Visually, the game is stunning. The world building is incredible, with lush forests, crumbling ruins, and magical landscapes that feel alive. The story is immersive, with twists and turns that kept me guessing throughout. If you're looking for a fast-paced, visually striking, and action-packed adventure with a unique magic system, Immortals of Aveum is a game you need to check out.
Gotta keep moving. Ready and waiting.
To Banishers. Ghosts of New Eden pulled me in with its intriguing mix of ghost hunting and immersive storytelling. From the moment I started playing, it felt like I was stepping into a world where the supernatural is deeply tied to the land and the people who live on it. You play as an exorcist duo, tasked with ridding the world of vengeful spirits while uncovering the mystery behind their torment. The thing I loved about this game is the emotional depth of the story. It's about the relationship between the two main characters and how their pasts come back to haunt them. The voice acting and narrative design really sold it for me, as the bond between the characters felt genuine and added weight to every decision you make. Combat in Banishers is brutal and rewarding, with a mix of magic and physical attacks. You'll need to carefully choose how to deal with different types of spirits. Some are best dealt with tactically, while others require quick reflexes. The atmosphere is moody and eerie, perfect for the ghost hunting theme.
Gang up on me!
If you thought the Outlast series couldn't get any more intense, think again. The Outlast Trials takes everything you love about the franchise, gritty, heart-pounding horror, and ramps it up with a terrifying co-op twist. I dove in expecting the usual psychological terror, but what I got was an experience that's equally unsettling and chaotic, especially when playing with friends. The premise is simple but chilling. You and your team are test subjects in a twisted Cold War experiment, forced to survive horrifying trials in an insane asylum, run by a sadistic organization. While you're still sneaking, hiding, and avoiding death like the previous games, the added layer of working with others, whether it's helping each other out of sticky situations or making sure someone doesn't get left behind, adds a whole new level of intensity. The horror in the Outlast Trials is relentless. You'll be running, hiding, and gasping for breath as you try to outsmart the monstrous enemies lurking around every corner. The tension is almost unbearable, and that's exactly what makes it so thrilling. Even if you're not a fan of horror games and looking for a new way to experience terror with friends, the Outlast Trials is the ultimate test of bravery.
You don't belong here!
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content on the latest and greatest games. Don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss an update. Got a game you'd love to see in a future video? Drop your suggestions in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Stay tuned and see you next time.